Hey, welcome back to the Lead Counsel Podcast. This is your host, Tom Tona. Before we jump into today's topic, I just want to take a moment to thank the sponsors of the podcast. This episode is sponsored by Tona Law. They're not just another law firm. They're defining what it means to fight for their clients. We get a lot of attorney referrals from across the country. We pay fee participation in all jurisdictions where it's permitted. We focus on integrity, innovation, and relentless advocacy. Tona Law is proving that the business of law can scale without losing its heart. If you want to see how a modern firm is built for impact and happy client referrals, check out tonalaw.com. Mention again the Lead Counsel Podcast, and I'm happy to get on the phone with you. Bill Umansky, how did you learn to become a good listener? Because it's something that I aspire to. I am literally trying every day to become a better active listener. Even at home, it's not something that comes natural, I think, to most people. So what was your secret? I mean, because dude, whether you think you are or not, right now, I've observed you during those facilitations on those groups you've run, and I've watched the notes you take and the questions and follow-up questions. You are a good listener now, in my opinion.
I learned it. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. It is by reps. So in sales, there's reps. You got to get the reps in. You got to get the reps. So it's the same thing with listening. So by becoming more of a stoic, which I'm still not fully stoic, and putting down my ego and developing more comfort in who I am, I'm on a text chain with about 20 guys. And they'll call me all kinds of things. One is a CB, and I don't want to mention that on your podcast. They'll say all kinds of things about my toe polish and my lack of hair, and I've been made fun of my entire life. It's only until the last 10 years I started really going, that's kind of cool. That's what draws me to people making fun of me, and then accepting that. And becoming more confident, and then hitting your 50s and being like, I was sure I was pretty confident in my 40s, but just a different level. So then when I put down the ego and became more confident, Jules, I think the reps have to happen. I had to do the reps. I had to ask the questions. And then more importantly, I had to wait not to interject my own story, because sometimes people want you to entertain them and they want you to keep, I'm not saying I'm funny, but people like laughing, and you can get off on making people laugh and feel good. So it's focusing on the reps, and it is discipline. So I did that the whole lunch, and actually I felt better about it because I got to really know this guy. Father's in Winter Park, came from a family of lawyers, why he went to school, what he did before he became a lawyer, what he likes, what his marriage is like. All of these things I was able to ask him. And I said, next time, he was going to take me to lunch. Go, next time, I'm going to do the talking and entertaining. And we're probably going to go out for a drink, and that's where it'll be natural to do that.
But I guarantee you that guy walked away from that lunch being like, oh my God, he was an amazing guy. Because anytime I've done that with people where I make a concerted effort, you can see that it changes them, right? Like, people want to tell you their stories. People want to be heard. So, I think that putting in the reps and the focus and discipline, it's hard work, man. It's hard work. Everybody loves to talk. So, being a good listener is a rare thing. Marco Brown.
This is a lesson for everyone to learn as well. I had zero, literally $0. What were we in debt at that point? $160,000 in debt. 2015, we bumped that up to $450,000 in debt. But I had no network, no money, no connections, new state, everything. And if I can make it work, because I was really bad at this for the first 5 or 6 years. If I can make it work with none of those things, everybody can make it work. You can leave the job you hate and start your own thing, and you'll be okay. It'll be rough for a little bit, but you'll be okay. That's the principle that you need to take from it.
Yeah, I just think it's also knowing yourself really well, right? Like, people say to me, where does the confidence come from? And I'm like, well, it's really confidence in my skill set. And I think that's what you're saying is you went out on basically a wing and a prayer, but you knew your skill set. What did you do once you had the epiphany and said, I gotta become something different?
Yeah. So then what you do I would other people do. What I did is I sit down and I start thinking, right? I'm a pretty analytical guy. So I sit down and I think, okay, I have all of these problems, and I just start naming them off. And then I think, well, I should probably solve these problems, but there are too many problems because there are like 1,000 problems. There are too many problems. So what's the one problem that I can solve that might solve a whole bunch of the other problems? And I thought about that for a long time, and I came up with an answer, which was to get paid 100% for the work I was already doing, because I was getting paid like maybe 50 cents on the dollar. And I thought, okay, well, let's give that a try. Like, there's nothing bad that can come from that, and maybe it solves a whole bunch of other problems. So then I thought to myself, okay, now I have to come up with a system in order to make that happen. So how do I make that happen? And I created the system and kind of tweaked it and experimented with it, and it solved a lot of problems. It solved a tremendous amount of problems.
Getting paid will do that, right?
Yep.
Getting paid will do that.
So it was an iterative process for me. So I thought, okay, let's solve this problem. And then I solved that problem. And then I thought, oh, wow, that actually works out really well. Maybe I can solve the bigger problem, which is I have 112 active case files and my brain is scrambled. So maybe I can solve that problem by hiring some people and seeing what that is like. And then I did that. And then I figured out I really liked that, and I made more money and worked less, and my stress level went way down. And I thought, oh, well, if I can do that once or twice, I can do that 10 times or 50 times. So then then I kind of moved into that. Like, okay, now what do I need to become in order to be a CEO of a law firm and not do cases anymore? Because that ultimately became my vision. But for me, that took a while, right? It wasn't like the epiphany at the beginning.
Winning is everything. Sometimes the advice that's out there that's given to younger attorneys specifically is too complex, right? The only thing I focused on for the first 10 years of my career was winning, right? How to win in litigation, even transactional, getting the best deals for my clients, always giving it my best. And it turns out that winning is a great marketing strategy, because when you're known as a winner, people want to send you business. People want you to represent them. If they know that you're a ferocious fighter in terms of litigation skills and prowess, they will send you business. So it's a fantastic marketing opportunity. And I think I see a lot of younger generational attorneys at a lot of business conferences. And my advice is always the same, which is become a real master at your craft, because that is a marketing strategy. Right. Once you're a master at your craft, you can build systems, and you can build systems while you're mastering your craft. But man, you got to master your craft. People, I don't care what anybody says is important to clients. There is one thing that is always paramount to clients, and that's that they have an attorney that can win for them. That doesn't mean you're going to win in every case, but there are skills you can apply. Winning is a skill, right? And you can break down the different subsets of skills that apply, right? The first thing I would say that's really important is vision. Vision, whether it's in business, in litigation, in building up the most significant estates planning practice, vision is everything. You got to know what the end game looks like in order to achieve it, right? You can cast a vision for your entire life. It's holistic. Your practice could be one area of your life if you're owner of the law practice. Your career could be one facet of your life. So if you envision exactly, what you envision for your life, you say, well, am I spending my time and my money, the two main currencies in life are time and money? Am I spending everything in alignment with my vision? And if you're not, you got to change that, right? So to me, it starts with, what is the vision? What does the end game look like? If it's litigation, is it a settlement? Is it a verdict? Is it a specific number or outcome for a client? And that could be in the transactional space as well. Okay, so that's vision. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I found that's key to winning is preparation. For me, my golden rule has always been, there is nobody that will be more prepared in any room that I'm in than me. That includes the defense attorneys. That includes the judges. It includes whoever I'm negotiating on the other side of the table, the mediators. There will never be anybody that knows my case better than me. And often I'm the first to talk because I'm so over-prepared that I'm talking off the top of my head and explaining the case to everybody. The next thing is adaptability, right? So specifically in the space of law, you have to be adaptable in the legal strategies that you employ. And like in life, shit just happens and it comes at you fast. So you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to improvise, and you have to be able to overcome whatever the new changes in your strategy that get thrown your way, the curveballs that come. You have to be able to adapt to those, right? Be able to monitor your strategy to the new facts that might arise. Nothing goes perfectly, not in litigation, not in life. So you have to be flexible and adaptable. The next thing is confidence. Confidence is contagious. And if you do the hard work, if you plan and you over prepare and you do all the other stuff we've talked about thus far, you walk into a room pretty confident. Notice I'm not saying cocky or arrogant. No one likes that. And typically those people, it's an ego thing and that ends up not serving them well in the room. But yeah, you should be confident in whatever area of specialization you're choosing, right? And if you're not confident, right? And I know I talk to a lot of younger professionals that suffer from imposter syndrome. I would say the easiest way to get over imposter syndrome is outwork your competition and over prepare. It's a great way to get over imposter syndrome, over preparation, super hard work. Quick break to thank the sponsors of the podcast. This episode is supported by Tona Law, a modern law firm built on integrity and innovation. Learn how they're changing the game at tonalaw.com. Attorney referrals accepted from across the country. You'll see what it's like when you send us a case. You'll have some happy clients. Okay, so the next thing that I think is essential to winning is staying cool. Shit goes wrong. Pressure gets high. You got to stay calm and stay curious. If you stay curious and you ask a lot of questions, especially if the stress is mounting, you might get information that you need that not only calms you down, but helps you, right? So I find that, especially, listen, I get emotional like everybody else. Deep breaths, rhythmic breathing. The next thing about winning and in your career, in your pursuit of excellence is look for details that win. Small details. Attention to details in legal practice is essential, right? If you're a personal injury attorney, in every case, there's going to be some linchpin details that you should be looking to use to build leverage in your favor, right? So the next facet that I find that people that I would call winners have in common is obsession, right? I can only talk about it with myself. I am obsessed with winning the game of life, right? And by the game of life, I mean, what does that mean business-wise and personal, right? My practice serves me. I don't serve my practice. I'm a CEO. I serve my leadership team. My leadership team serves the rest of the team that's here, and the rest of the team that's here serves our clients, right? But I built the practice in a way, I'm not working 80, 90 hours a week. I don't work weekends. I don't work nights. I'm here with my family. That's what winning looks like to me. So again, that was part of my vision, was to both win at the game of business, have a law practice that financially is achieving certain milestones every year and doing fantastic things for our clients, right? But I also defined what it looks like personally. My daughter's last 13 years of her life have flown by. I've eaten every meal with my daughter at night. I've eaten every meal. I have never missed a school event ever. And I'm in rooms at the school where there are some big law partners there. First thing, I'll never forget, first thing out of their mouths, like, I hate my life. I work 7 days a week. I take fax machines on vacation. And I was like, see, that's me winning. Because I go on vacation for a month to Europe I don't even check my phone because I built a business that answers the questions for the people in the business, it doesn't require my presence. And I wanted my life to look like that. So by achieving that, I'm winning. And notice I didn't call this winning at all cost. It's also about risk management. You have to manage risk effectively, and you have to know when the odds are no longer in your favor about what you're trying to achieve. And maybe say, okay, I set goal of X, but I'm only at goal of Y, but I risk all of it if I continue on if something doesn't change. So that comes down to being adaptable and adjusting your strategy to shifts in risk. You have to be tuned into risk. One of the things that I see in a conversation with Bill Umansky, the lawman, he said, what advice would you give to my sons who they want to swing for the fences? I was like, it's a game of inches. Don't swing for the home runs. Home runs are bull. And those have more to do with luck than skill or planning or preparation. Home runs, they happen, but they have a lot to do with luck. And I treat business as a game of inches, right? But you can hit a home run if you do the hard work for a long, long time. Then you get the home runs and everybody's like, oh, look, he's an overnight success. Now, that's not the case. And then the last thing I would say, if you want to win, you got to be willing to lose, right? You cannot fear loss. And so you have to be comfortable with some measure of risk and the occasional losses. There are two types of decision makers, right? There are intuitive impulsives, which is what I am. And there are deliberative contemplatives, which I know a few of them are very close friends of mine. And the good thing is if you in your inner circle, try to surround yourself with people that are both, because intuitive impulsives like me, I'm comfortable. I'll make 100 decisions in a day, large and small. I get enough data, I make a decision, and I'm okay with being wrong. But even if I'm wrong 50% of the time, which I'm not, but even if I'm wrong 50% of the time, it's not like they're fatal life or death decisions. I take my time with big decisions or significant financial decisions or anything like that. But on the whole, intuitive impulsives will move faster towards the win, because sometimes the deliberative, contemplative thinkers, they get stuck in analysis paralysis, and it takes them, it could take somebody a year to make a decision that is not impactful at all in this game of things. If you make a mistake, you correct course. That has a lot to do with somebody's disc and training and background and upbringing. And look, there's good and bad to both. I do like having people like that in my circle because they tend to at least slow me down and make me think better about my decision making. Winning has to be part of the goal, especially in law. It's not good enough to be good. You're not going to stand out if you're good. If you can stand out in a crowd and they're bragging on the results that you get, you don't have to do anything. Notice I didn't say that for me to win, somebody has to lose. Listen, in some instances, it's win-lose, right? You go to a jury and it's us versus an insurance company. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, right? Or there's shades in between. Maybe they give you some money, but it's not as much as you thought. But in that instance, the insurance company is probably losing, right? But in negotiations or in business, right? I have friends all over the local area that do what I do. I'm not looking to beat them. I'm just looking to win. I'm not looking to beat them. I'm not looking to take share away from my friends that are succeeding. There's plenty to go around. We can all win. We can win together, right? We have one common purpose, which is winning for our clients against the insurance companies or whoever it is, right? And that's why we share a lot of the stuff that works for us, right? In trial or whatever it is. So I'm a big believer in it. It doesn't have to be a zero-sum game, with the exception of if you're trying a case. And yeah, in that instance, it's adversarial. It's going to be a winner. It's going to be a loser. And you want to be the winner. Thank you for listening to this episode of Lead Counsel Podcast. Your host, Tom Tona. Go anywhere podcasts are distributed. Follow us. Leave us a 10-star review. Share some episodes with your friends. And thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Thank you. This episode is sponsored by Tona Law. They're not just another law firm. They're defining what it means to fight for their clients. We get a lot of attorney referrals from across the country. We pay fee participation in all jurisdictions where it's permitted. We focus on integrity, innovation, and relentless advocacy. Tona Law is proving that the business of law can scale without losing its heart. If you want to see how a modern firm is built for impact and happy client referrals, check out tonalaw.com. Mention again the Lead Counsel Podcast, and I'm happy to get on the phone with you.